another week with RWRL, Real Women, Real Life. Welcome to the program. It is awesome to be with you. Now, last week, I introduced you to a beautiful woman by the name of Angelique Toit, and we only got to hear the first part of her testimony. On today's program, I'm going to let you hear the rest of it. It is outstanding, it is incredible, it is phenomenal, and it is a true testimony of God's goodness. What an amazing story. And I tell you, when I hear Angelique speak, whenever I hear her speak, I am so encouraged to know that God is a good God. Irrespective of what you are going through right this very moment, this week, maybe you had a shocker of a week. Maybe you're watching this program and thinking, what hope is there for me? Whatever you are going through, I can tell you that God is a good God. And when you put your life in His hands and when you entrust Him and you believe in Him with everything, without doubting, you will see how He is going to work on your behalf and how He's going to turn your situation around from absolutely awful to incredible. That will be a testimony to everybody that comes across your path. So today's program, we're going to continue the story with Angelique Toit, hearing what did God use to take her from an area or a part of her life that she felt so hopeless, a time in her life where she felt so unworthy, to a time in her life where she's experienced the absolute goodness of God and the success that God has brought her way, which is all glory to the Lord. So stay tuned to this program. It is going to be beautiful. And just a little heads up, Angelique is going to be giving something special away, so you want to watch the whole program so you do not miss that. Stay tuned to every single minute. I'll be back with you shortly with Angelique. As I said to you in the introduction of today's program, last week we were so privileged to have Angelique Toit with us in Real Women, Real Life. And today, once again, welcome, Angelique, back to Real Women.
Thank you so much.
It is great to have you on program number 2. We realized in last week's program the time just flew by, so thank the Lord we've got an extra program to continue the story and the journey that you went on. And just in a very, very quick recap of Angelique's story is that basically very hard childhood, come to the point of standard 6 where her father sent her out to go work, so got an education up to grade standard 6, went to go work, had to stop working, got married, fell terribly sick, and suddenly you realized what was actually causing you to be sick was all this offense and unforgiveness in your heart. And you met an amazing woman who led you to Christ, and at that point is where the miracle took place, and God started doing something miraculous in your life. Now, Angelique, quite a few years later, from 21, we know Angelique Toit as being a very successful businesswoman, a speaker, a motivational speaker, an author, just an amazing woman. What was the tool that God used to take you from that point of absolute hopelessness to being this successful, beautiful woman that you are today?
Well, thank you for that. You know, when you know that you're loved by God, you feel that you can conquer the world.
Yes.
And I don't believe I ever felt so loved as I did in that time when I realized that everything that I had done was washed away in the blood of Jesus. Every offense that I did have, I could actually release because of what He had done for me. And in a beautiful way, God built into me a new sense of self-belief, self-acceptance, and self-esteem that I had never really experienced before. So that partnership was the most glorious and liberating path that I started to walk on. Now, we're condensing it in for time's sake, and obviously it's been many, many decades of a journey.
Right.
But when you know that you are held and you're loved and you are committed to by God, it gives you a whole different vista in your life, and perhaps helps you find the courage to do things that maybe I would never have done before. And I love the statement that faith is spelled risk, because we so often have to risk to walk in faith.
Yes.
And it was that structure that God began to build into my life, where after I had that encounter with God, I had an insight, and that's the only way. People would call it a vision. People would, say it was a picture. I had an insight of just a glimpse of what I believed God wanted to do with my life.
Okay.
And it was quite interesting that it centered around communication,
Yes.
because I am by nature very shy. And in my last year of high school, I had a shocking experience in a theatre production where I took an inner vow that I would never, ever, ever put myself in a situation where I'd need to talk in front of people again. So doesn't God
now
have a
look
sense
at
of
you.
humor?
God has a sense of
He has a
humor. A
sense of
couple of
humor.
years later, talking to a couple of 100,000 people. He's very clever.
He knows
Watch
exactly
those inner
what
vows.
he's doing. Exactly. No, and that is a very, very true point, because
Yes.
I think so often we say, I will never do that. We don't
Right.
realize how binding
Yes.
it is. So it was quite a journey that God took me on to get through that. And interestingly enough, one of the vehicles that he used is the world of direct selling,
Okay.
which was the vehicle that really changed
Wow.
my life from a success point of view,
Yes.
from an earning point of view, from a place of believing that I could achieve, because I
Wow.
realized it wasn't going to be education based, it certainly wasn't going to be academic based, and I
Yes.
didn't even need to be intelligent. I just needed a whole lot of desire to succeed,
Sure.
and I've got lots of that.
And you certainly have that. Okay, now, Angelique, obviously you're in this world, so it's something that you're very familiar with, but I believe there might be many viewers that don't have any understanding of what is direct selling. What is that actually?
It really is a life-changing opportunity for people such as myself who have no education, or for those of you who might be looking for an extra income. It really is a consultant-to-client way of selling, so that everything that you sell or that you trained on, you're able to earn a particular percentage on. And I can't tell you what it felt like for me to earn my very first check in those days.
It must
The-
have been amazing.
It was incredible, the fact that my effort, with no education, with nothing, was able to produce an income.
Sure.
And it's what we call today passive income. And of course, we know it's one of the industries that has made multimillionaires around the world.
Yes.
And it is, to me, one of the solutions of South Africa's poverty
Wow.
situation.
And of Africa
Indeed.
as a whole. So you got involved into indirect selling, and then from that point on, how did you get involved in Angelique specifically?
That's a wonderful story, because Ernest is also involved in direct selling and has been for many, many years, and is actually known as the king of direct selling in South Africa. And we had this wonderful opportunity to connect with the Toit family. And of course, they started the business 43 years ago, proudly South African business. And we were able to be in a situation to purchase the business from them in 2010. And for us, it is about creating life-changing opportunities every single day. And I meet women just like myself every single day who need that opportunity. So we have 22,000 people associated with this business. And
22,000.
yes, and so you see that the promises of God hold true.
Yes, and suddenly your sphere of influence is so much bigger than you could ever imagine. Angelique, I know that you have written a book. And this book summarizes basically your life story and your experiences. Tell us the title of your book, firstly.
It's called Standing Tall in a Falling World. And really, I wrote it in honor of my mother.
Okay.
In all of the principles that she shared with us through some very, very difficult times. And also, the title really is an invitation to stand tall, even when it feels that things around you might be falling.
I immediately think of that song, you get knocked down and you get up again. Got something along those lines?
Exactly right. It's exactly that. Because, standing tall is a choice.
Yes.
I think for many of your viewers, we look at the world today and it feels as though the world is off its axis. So we do need to find that courage, that faith to stand tall when everything else is speaking otherwise.
Absolutely. And even when you are already standing, to stay standing. Because how many times do things in life come your way that want to knock you down while you're standing strong, when you're fighting for a cause, when you're moving forward for the Lord? And life happens and the enemy comes and tries to distract you, but to keep standing, even when you are standing tall. So your book is a summary of your life in dedication to your mom. Where is your book currently available?
It's directly available on my website. It is going to go international through a publisher early in 2015, and then it will be widely available wherever books are sold. It is a very great plan that or launch that I'm looking forward to. And I'm already working on my second one, so that will be launched towards the end of next year, and that is called What in the World Are You Waiting For?
I love it.
And I think that's a question many of us need to ask ourselves. But what is so wonderful about Standing Tall is it covers every single aspect of our lives as human beings, whether it's on the health side, whether it's anti-aging, whether it's leadership, networking, finance. It covers every single situation that we might find ourselves in. And every time I sign a copy for somebody, I say, if you apply these principles, the principles will work for you.
Absolutely. So it's not a Bible bashing book. So you can give this book to your family members that don't know the Lord, but most likely God is going to use it to stir the hearts of people to come towards Him, because of all the principles that are in there are basically biblical principles. And Angelique, what I loved about your book is that it's an easy read. It's a read that, if I almost can say, you don't have to be academic to read it, but yet it's so insightful that I find myself quite a few times I'd have to read that same page twice. I'd read it and I'd be like, what? Let me do that again. Because it just had so much substance to it. But yet I find the book is available, should I say, it's the perfect book for every person, irrespective of age, irrespective of academic status, irrespective of culture. You've written this book very cleverly to make it suitable for everyone. So I know you want to give a couple of books away.
Absolutely, with pleasure.
How should we encourage our viewers, in a sense? What do they need to do to get a copy of this book?
Well, I think it would be wonderful for them to motivate why they should have a copy, and perhaps just in a paragraph via email, just to say why I really believe I need to stand tall, and that I'm committed to the principles of standing tall. And then maybe just as a fun way, they can give us a feedback perhaps in a month's time of what they've changed in their lives to really make that difference. Because I know you can't read it and stay the same.
No.
So I would love to see that. I'm very much results orientated, so that for me would be very special.
Okay, so the condition is, if you win this book, or if you get to the privilege of getting your hands on one of these books, we want to know how the book has changed your life in a month or so time. It gives you a month to read it. That's more than enough time. I think it's more than enough time. So, Angelique, we're going to just have a very quick break now, and then we're going to come back, and I want to just chat a little bit further on your book, and then just to wrap up our whole interview together. And I know that I'm sure that there's a word on your heart specifically for our viewers. So I'll be back with you shortly. You do not want to miss the end of this program. Welcome back to Real Women, and as we said before the break, Angelique is very graciously giving away 3 copies of her book, Standing Tall in a Falling World. 3 copies she's going to be giving to 3 of our Real Women, Real Life viewers. And in order to stand a chance of getting this beautiful copy, Angelique, all you've got to do is you've got to email us, and you've got to tell us, how do you want to stand tall in your world? Why do you feel that you need to stand tall? What area in your life do you want to stand tall in? So we are doing it via email to keep it private, so you don't have to go onto Facebook. Go straight to our email. Email us your story. It doesn't have to be long. Just motivate why you would like a copy of this very beautiful book, and 3 of you will stand a chance to receive it. Now, Angelique, as we said, for those that will not potentially receive a copy, it will be readily available very shortly everywhere, because it's going international. But in the meantime, if you don't win a copy, you can go straight to your site, to Angelique's website, which we'll put up on the screen right now. You can go straight to her website and you can order a copy directly from her if you don't win a copy from us. Angelique, I said to you during the break that I really felt that God has a word on your heart. And I want to give you these last 8 minutes or so on the program, and I want you to minister to our viewers, because I know that you do seminars all over the country and all over the world, and workshops and talks, and many people have been able to hear you firsthand, but I'm sure that there are countless viewers that have never got to hear the power that God has deposited inside of you. So I want to give you these last few minutes of this program just to bless and minister to the women who are, women and men. I know that you watch as well, men. Thank you so much for viewing. To the people that are watching our program, just to bless them for the last few minutes of this program.
Thank you for that. You know, real women do have real men in their lives as well. And so I really would like to address this to everybody who's actually watching, because God really did create us for an abundant life. And abundance is really a concept that I believe we, particularly if you come from my background, you really battle to get your mind around. And yet abundance is the riches of what God has done for us through Christ Jesus. And when we get that understanding of He did it just for me, that I deserve it as much as you deserve it. And you know, I think it's quite an insult for us to go to God and think, well, Lord, maybe that blessing is for somebody else, when really He's saying, look at what it cost me to give to you everything, every inheritance you possibly could have wished for your life. You know, Tracy, I can't even begin to tell you how God has blessed me way beyond all that I could have asked, thought, or imagined, way beyond my wildest dreams, because He is faithful. And the only thing He requires from us is our cooperation, our willingness to press through, our willingness to take new territory, our willingness to be brave, to have the courage. And that is why every seminar and every speaking engagement that I ever do, and I write a lot about that in the book, is truly this: we win or we lose by the way that we choose. Choice is really our free will. And if you think about it, when God gave you free will, He took an enormous risk, because He knew that we could use our free will even against Him. But that's how much He entrusts us to make the right choice in life, to walk into the path that He has already prepared beforehand for you to walk in. And it's a wonderful thing when you discover your purpose in Christ, that you know it's not past dependent, but it's Christ dependent. We're not defined by our past, but I'll tell you this: much of the wisdom that God has deposited in my life has come from the fact that I looked at the past and said, what can I learn from this? I love what John Maxwell says. He says, we can never win, and we can never lose, and we can never fail, because sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. And I think that is a very, very powerful statement. So the truth is this: if it's going to be, it is up to me. Up to me to do what? Well, up to me to go and find out what God has planned and purposed for your life. Because I am a John 10:10 person. I do believe that we do have the struggles. I do believe that we are contested. I do believe that there are areas in our lives that are put under pressure. But overall, God has come that we might have an abundant life, overflowing and to the full. And you know, there's a very powerful linkage to that, Tracy, and that is the principle of giving. I cannot tell you how many times I've never been able to prove God wrong in this area, that every time you give, God gives you far more than you could ever have given, even if it was sacrificially. And many years ago, the Lord gave me a principle, and He said, what I can push through you, I will give to you. What I can push through you, I will give to you. So how do we give? Well, we give it by the way we treat people. We give it financially. We give it emotionally. We give it relationally. Whatever we give, God gives us far more than we can ever imagine. And so, quite simply, for you viewers out there, I do one thing every day that forever changes my life every day. And that's when I get up out of bed in the morning, I say to the Lord, what's on your agenda today, Lord? And may I be part of that. Because I don't want to do the wood, hay, and stubble anymore. It costs too high a price. It takes too much energy. But when you know what's on God's agenda, and that simply is by leading Him, you know, by following Him in the way that He leads, opening the doors that He opens, and walking through. And He often has far richer things on His agenda than we could ever plan for ourselves. I heard a funny statement the other day, and it said, if you really want to hear God laugh, show Him your plans.
It's brilliant.
So it's about what's being on His agenda that really counts, because He loves us so much, and He really has planned for our best. And all we have to do is give ourselves that permission to succeed.
Wow, Angelique, that is absolutely powerful. I am so convinced that by you listening to just that brief, powerful message, that it has done something to really edify you. And Angelique, I look at you and I just know that God has got so much more up His sleeve for you.
Thank you.
And I would like to say over you, the best is yet to come. And I think you know that and you believe it already. And I think we are excited as real women to see where God is going to be taking you. And we're going to be cheering you along all the way. And it's so exciting to see what God has done in your life. And you might be watching Angelique and listening to her speak and thinking, oh my goodness me, yes, I think it's awesome. And as you said, maybe it's for her, or maybe it's for him, or maybe it's for my friend. But for me, never, Lord. Why would you want to use me? Why would you want to bless me? And after hearing Angelique's testimony, if you still think that, well, then I'm telling you, get the book so you can really read it and really understand that God's heart for all of us is the same. He wants all of us to live a life of abundance. He wants all of us to live a life of peace. He wants us to walk in freedom and to get victories over those areas in your life that you don't think you'll ever get victory in. But God has a surprise for you, and the surprise is that He has already made you victorious through Christ Jesus. Angelique, I just am marveled at what God has done in you, and I'm so thankful to the Lord for bringing you into my life. And I know that He's still going to take you to very, very great heights. And I'm looking forward to watching you grow and to seeing where the Lord is going to be taking you. And I know that when it comes to the aspect of restoration, you can speak probably loudest about that, because your life is one story, beautiful story of restoration. And if I think back, if I could picture you as that 14-year-old young girl who thought to themselves, how can I ever become anything? And I look at where you are today. What a beautiful story of God's grace. What a beautiful story of God's restoration. So thank you, Angelique, for sharing your story. We really, really enjoyed it. Please come back again.
Oh, with pleasure. I would love the invitation. Thank you.
And a final word, just remember to get a copy of this book. Angelique is giving 3 copies away to Real Women, Real Life viewers. Go onto our email address and send us your story, why you want to stand tall in your falling world. Whatever that is, send us your story. And we are going to choose three of you, and we're going to send you a copy of this beautiful book. And for those that don't win, you can go straight to your website. Do you want to just give it to us quickly?
Certainly. It's www.angeliquedutoit.co.za. If you fill in the subscription block, you'll actually get some free ebooks too.
Oh, nice. I think I might just do that myself. And Angelique, finally, if any of our viewers want to get hold of you to come speak at their churches, to come speak at their groups, at their business forums, whatever it might be, do they get hold of you in the same way?
They do. On the website, everything is there for you to contact me. Come through to my office. We will do something very, very special for you, because our heartbeat is to help people live with greater purpose, greater passion, and greater productivity.
Wow. What a beautiful woman. Well, you've heard it. Thank you, Angelique, for being part of Real Women, Real Life. I'm quite certain we'll have you back again sometime in the near future. And God's greatest blessings upon you and your husband and your family and your business and your ministry. And I know that God is going to be doing wondrous things for you.
Thank you. I receive that with gratitude. Thanks very much.
We'll be seeing you shortly. Wow, that's all I can say. Angelique, thank you so much for sharing your story with Real Women, Real Life. It has been an absolute blessing. If you missed hearing how you can go about standing a chance to win one of Angelique's copies of her beautiful book, Standing Tall in a Falling World, what you've got to do is you've got to email us at Real Women, Real Life. And you've got to share your story and tell us, why do you need this book? Why do you need to stand tall in your world when you feel that it is falling around you? That seems like quite a personal thing to say, I know. And you don't have to give us all the details, all right? I know that's between you and God. But you need to motivate to us why you need a copy of this book. Angelique is giving away 3 copies. 3 copies. And if you do not win a copy, if you do not receive a copy from Angelique, autographed copy from Angelique, no worries, you can still get it straight on her website. And if you aren't able to contact her, get hold of us and we'll put you into contact with her. It's been a phenomenal program, and what a beautiful woman and what a beautiful story. So thank you for joining us on these 2 programs. Next week's program is going to be a fun one. You do not want to miss that. We are going to be taking you to a place called Valley Lodge and Spa in Michalisburg, which is outstandingly beautiful. And on top of it, there's more giveaways. It feels like Christmas time already. We already are starting to give things away. So it is absolutely stunning and so much fun. So next week's program, you do not want to miss. I'll give you a heads up. Spa treatments, relaxing weekend away for you and a friend, or you and your husband, or you and your wife, whoever's watching. Beautiful. You don't want to miss that. As I said on last week's program, if you have not yet gone to our Facebook page and liked it, please do me a favor, go straight away. When this program ends, go straight away to TBN RWRL and like the page. You're going to get all the information that you need to know about the giveaways, about our guests, about the program topics that are coming up, and some exciting things that are coming up towards the end of this year. Also information on events, anything that's exciting that's happening connected to Real Women, Real Life, you'll find out on our Facebook page. So go and like it. Help us to raise those numbers on Facebook so that we can increase our area of influence. Thank you so much for joining me, Tracy Tredrea, on Real Women, Real Life. I love being with you always. Till next week, same time, same place, and God bless you.